Well, yes, indeed. Mr. Lucky Maswine joins us now. He's the former Deputy Governor of Edo State. He's the chairman of Shopi in Edo State, as well as the chairman of Forum of Chairmen of Shopi, Nigeria. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, all of this debate about Inec's mock accreditation, it's raging about now, but everyone waiting for that meeting that Inec will eventually hold today and then give an assessment of the entire process. You perhaps also keeping tabs on what transpired in those 6 states. What were your findings? What did you notice?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think Inec is doing its best under a very difficult circumstance. But personally, I also believe that their best is not good enough. You know, they are coming up with a new system now, especially as it relates to the card readers. And yet we had an election in Ekiti State. One would expect Inec to have tested such complicated system in one state and then for the overall election and then see the result, as that would better inform them of what will happen in a general election. But they didn't do that. They've tested this in about 12 states a few days back, and they were about 59% successful. Now, I know some polls say...
Isn't that 59% on the authentication of the fingerprints, not on the verification of the PVC?
Authentication of the fingerprint, they are all the same process. The PVC authentication itself, they were successful, but there are still areas that call for concern. Now, people, some of the areas where they ran this test, people, yes, their identification was established in that area. Some were given a different place of registration. Yes, overall they did well, but you are talking about a small percentage, 12 states out of 36, including the FCT 37. I think the process is not widely used enough. What bothers me is that people try to politicize this issue. If you recall what happened in the United States a few years ago, during Al Gore and the Bush Jr., people were complaining about the flaw in the electoral process in the state of Florida. Others believe it was irrelevant and therefore it was one state out of 50-something states and they should go ahead. But at the end of the day, what happened in Florida eventually affected the outcome of that election, where one man won a popular vote and the other one won by electoral college. And the difficulties and the malpractices of the election process in one state, in one county, end up deciding the presidential election. So when people talk about, oh, this is a minor problem, we should go ahead and try it, I'm not against it. I think Inec is doing its best, like I said in my opening statement, in it coming up with this new process, this new program that will eventually lead to good electoral process in Nigeria. But when you are having an election of this magnitude facing us at this time of the country, I think it is a little bit premature to run a process that is being used for the first time in the history of this country in a general election that will be taking place simultaneously throughout the country.
If they say we can handle this, shouldn't we give them the benefit of the doubt, especially when, for instance, the 59% which you focused on, they say, much as, yes, the commission didn't expect maybe it will be 59%, but you won't be disenfranchised. You will be given the incidence form, you will get accredited, you will vote as long as you have your PVC.
You are talking about incident form. You are talking about a process that begins, let's say, about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Accreditation ends towards in the afternoon and voting starts. Look, you need to be in police station and see the tension in an election day. Who has time to go and be filling an accreditation form? An average Nigerian destroys such a process anyway.
Pardon me to jump in, because Inec also says they met with political parties, including yours, where you all agreed that if we can't conclude it on that day, you will continue the next day.
But what I'm saying, they have a process that...
Did they say that to your parties?
Well, they said so. I was not in that meeting, and in my capacity as the senatorial chairman of my party in my state, in addition to being a chairman of Shopi, I was not opportune to be in that meeting. But nevertheless, it's important to point this out. The Inec as a body is already saturated with other responsibility. You need, I don't know if you have visited the police station. You must have gone there in the process of trying to get your permanent voter's card. We lost a lot of our students who were willing to register. I've had calls, people leaving classroom, for example, staying day after day trying to get their permanent voter's card. And at the end, they get frustrated. You are going to be having problems that day. People who have temporary voter's card who believe they are eligible, and rightfully so, they must not be disenfranchised, who will be going there that day without a permanent PVC and demanding to vote. So you'll be having a combination of all these factors.
What would you suggest?
I suggest that the card readers should be jettisoned for now. They should leave that aside for now. You have the permanent voter's card, you have the temporary voter's card issue at hand, that let those who are registered, who are qualified to vote, as soon as they approach the police station, there's a time frame
with the TVC.
With their PVC, and it's certain that they are the one whose pictures appears on it. They should be allowed to exercise their right of vote.
You're saying we should use the PVC and the TVC, is that what you're saying?
No, that's not exactly what I'm saying. The TVC is okay. Is the voters, I mean the card readers that I'm having problem with.
I'm saying the TVC is also an issue. People are saying that they've not been able to collect their PVCs as well. Will you say that we should use the TVCs
Of course, unless we still have, I think it has been extended about 3 more weeks or 2 more weeks before the election, unless Inec can convince us beyond all reasonable doubt that they are putting all the necessary process in place that we ensure the permanent voters card gets to all eligible voters. Yes, I'm not mindful of the fact that there's no way this process can be 100%. Some people may have traveled, people may have even for whatever reason refused to go get their permanent voters card. But for those who have gone to ask for, they should be given. Can you imagine if this election taking place when it was originally scheduled? You know, people by now will be going to court, paying the process. Those who will not be allowed to vote. I don't think this is APC or PDP matter. It gets me sick, you know, because it bothered me when people question the president of this country when it comes to election. When under his administration, under his leadership, for the first time in the history of this country, the president will campaign for a governor of his party. Another governor wins, he'll be the first to congratulate him or her. Him. He has put many things in motion to ensure that electoral process in this country is credible.
You know, that is why, sorry to cut you there, that is why some Nigerians are saying that this would also be an added plus if they allow this card reader be used for this particular election. Because Marco is trying to ask you, if you say this particular election, we can go ahead with this election without the card reader, that we can use our PVC. But it would amount to what we have always had, you know, every election year, to the extent that once the election is over, the complaints emanating from such election is huge. Why can't we start a process? Because there's always a first cause, and if this be the first, then so be it. At least in the next couple of years, we can now then say we're getting closer to perfection.
We can start the process. My argument is we should not start the process using it at the same time for the entire country. There's an opportunity for us. Ondo State election will be coming up. The governorship of Edo State election is sometime in 2016. Why not, the Oekiti is passed now, I'm only referring to it for the purpose of argument. Why not start it in Edo State? Look at the mistakes that may emanate in the process. From there you build on it. Luckily for us, we have elections before the general election. In this election, many things are at stake. In this election, it is taking place simultaneously 36 and FCT states of the Federation. I am saying yes, we should and must come and do things of this magnitude. But let's start the process. It's like the central bank guidelines on cashless something. We have 36 states in Nigeria, including FCT. It was tested in Lagos and in Rivers. Edo State and other states were kept aside. They wanted to see problems that may emanate from the process. That way they can rectify them, and at the appropriate time, it becomes law or guidelines, whatever you want to call it, for the entire country. That's all I'm saying. All right. There are elections before the general election. Leave this out now. The issue is so complicated. It is brand new.